it made it possible for me to be able to go. So this was a group, it was 25 girls who went. 21 of them were JMU students, either nursing majors or health-related majors. 2 of them were professors, and 4 of them were current RNs who went back to get their BSNs, and they came for some credit towards that. So the way the trip worked was, it was through JMU has a connection to a man named Ariel. So he's the one in the selfie taking a picture. So that's Ariel. He is from Costa Rica. He and his family own a school called Vaca Verde, where that's the school. We met there every morning. Him and his family own that school. That's where we would gather every morning before we went out for the day, and we would come back every afternoon and have Spanish class there. So he works as a trip organizer. So he was responsible for setting up our itinerary for the entire 3 weeks. He organized the buses that took us everywhere. He went with us everywhere we went, and he was also responsible for setting us up with host families within a 1-mile radius of the school so that we could walk to the school every morning. So on the next slide, it shows a picture of my host family. So this is Kelly on the end. She's the roommate. So we each got paired up with one other person on the trip and placed in a host family's house. Typically, the host families were like older women, people with families that just had some extra room from their kids who left. But we were the unique ones who got paired with a 25-year-old girl named Marilyn. She lives alone with her host dog, Samuel. And she's working full-time, and she goes to classes in university to get her marketing degree. So it was more like just hanging out with a new friend for the entire 3 weeks, and that was a lot of fun to get to have someone so close to our age. And then the next slide shows a couple pictures of her house. That was the living room. It's cut off a little bit, but the living room, the room that we stayed in, Kelly and I, and then kind of like the front area to just kind of give you a little picture. Houses are very similar in a lot of areas like that, especially for someone who's a little bit more like middle class, upper class. So the way that the trip worked was each day, each weekday, we would start out, we would meet at that school in the morning, we would meet together, have a little meeting, and then go to a different healthcare facility. We got to take tours and learn about so many different types of healthcare that they offer in Costa Rica. Then we would go out to lunch, and then we would come back to the school for 3 hours of Spanish classes. And then on the weekends, we would travel to different landmarks in Costa Rica. We got to see volcanoes and rainforests and beaches and all kinds of incredible stuff. I have a few pictures at the end. But during that first week we were there, we spent the first 2 days in a city called La Carpio. Next slide. Couldn't take a lot of pictures of a lot of these places we went. But this is La Carpio. It is a really small city. It was inhabited by people from Costa Rica a while back, and then an earthquake completely demolished the city. So from then on, nobody from Costa Rica really inhabited that place. It was so torn up. But the way that it's set up is it's surrounded by a river, and so the situation in Nicaragua has been so bad for so long that people have been fleeing from Nicaragua to Costa Rica, and specifically this city. It's surrounded by a river, so people would specifically come down the river to La Carpio. And it started out, people were just putting up plastic and cardboard houses and living there, and then over time, more and more people began to migrate there and kind of built up their own little Nicaraguan city in the middle of Costa Rica. So we got to go there, and we got to meet this lady named Gail. She is an older woman. She is originally from New Jersey, but she spent 2 years doing the Peace Corps in Costa Rica, went back to New Jersey and couldn't live that lifestyle anymore. So she came back to Costa Rica, specifically went to La Carpio, and she just basically built this city with what she had. She built 3 schools there, different clinics, and specifically one big building that's like an education building. They provide education as far as healthcare. They take care of women who are pregnant, and they offer free lunches. So we just got to spend a lot of time with her, hear her story. So that was really incredible. She walked us around the city a lot. We got to go meet some kids in the schools that she built. And we got to sit before one of the lunches and talk with a few of the refugees from Nicaragua who had literally just come that week. And it was really hard and sad to hear some of their stories from what they had just experienced and why they left. But a really eye-opening experience. And so then the following day, we got to hear from an OBGYN who's also from America, but moved to Costa Rica. And she just gave us a lecture after school, and she taught us all about just kind of laid it out for us what the healthcare was like in Costa Rica. It's really interesting to see like the effects of how universal healthcare works there. So they provide free healthcare for kids under the age of 18, free healthcare for pregnant women, adults over the age of 65, and people who can prove that they have no income, which sounds amazing, and it worked out so well that so many people can just show up at a clinic or a hospital and receive healthcare. But there was a lot of ways that the healthcare was lacking because so many people weren't paying for the healthcare they received. So specifically, she gave us examples, since she was an OBGYN, that it's not common for women to receive ultrasounds when they're pregnant. Commonly, they would have to schedule their appointment so far in advance that they would have already had the baby by the time they had their scheduled ultrasound. So a lot of their testing is kind of done outside the monitors with their hands and all of that stuff. And then one of the hospitals we got to visit, the public hospitals, a lot of them they can't afford individual rooms, so they have one big shared room. So a lot of women would join a room of 6 or 7 other women who were delivering at the same time, and they would all just be delivering in the same room, which was really interesting to see. And then she taught us about the different levels of healthcare in Costa Rica. So the very lowest level is a device. That's a free clinic that offers preventative and primary care to anyone with or without insurance. You can just show up there and be seen. It's a team of healthcare workers. There's a physician, a nurse, a technician, and a pharmacist, and you can show up and be seen by any of those people. But the interesting part was they also have a team of people who goes out and brings healthcare to the homes. And so they have a team of technicians who will come and knock on your door. Each technician is assigned like a district, and they have to visit a certain amount of open doors that day. And so they come and they knock on your door, and they're responsible for seeing how many people you have in your home, what your living conditions are like, just giving an overall analysis of the health of the people in your family, making doctor's appointments for you if you need to be seen by one, giving you vaccines. They just bring all the healthcare to the homes for people who wouldn't show up to the doctor's office. It's just a really cool, interesting way of making sure that everyone's well taken care of. And if you don't open your door, they keep coming back with the answer. So that was cool to learn about. So we got to visit just different examples of the advice. There's the next level up is the free clinics. It's very similar to the advice, but it's just a higher quality, and they have more professionals. And then the highest 2 levels are the private and public hospitals. So this is a public hospital that we got to visit, where I said the labor and delivery rooms were like one big room with 6 or 7 beds in it. Same with the pediatric units. The kids would be in a room with 6 or 7 other kids and being taken care of. We got to walk around, meet several doctors, and just kind of get to walk through and experience what it was like. So the public hospitals are available to anyone with insurance, but they also take care of anyone who shows up to the hospital and needs immediate care, whether or not they have insurance, which was cool. And then private hospitals are like the highest quality of healthcare. They're mostly only affordable to the middle and upper class, and those are like individual rooms, just a nicer facility in general. So those were all like the clinic and hospital settings. And then on the next slide, this was a different day that we got to go to this place called Anambe. So this is a daycare facility for people with mental disabilities, anywhere from the ages of 18 to 64. So this is like kind of a government-funded facility where people who have mental disabilities are cared for by their families. Before 18, they get to go to school all day, and they don't have to be like taken care of all day. And then after 64, they can go to a retirement home. But in between those ages, their families are responsible for taking care of them 24/7. So this was a place that they could go and spend Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, go there all day and be taken care of. We got to go spend the morning with all of them. There were about 3 staff and about 70 people there being taken care of, which was pretty wild. But it was really sad to hear, like, 30% of those people who were there, their families dropped them off every morning and picked them up every afternoon, but the other 70% of them, their families dropped them off and never came back to pick them up. So in the afternoons, there's a place that's also government funded for those people to go after their daycare and have somewhere to sleep. similar to a homeless shelter. We didn't get to see it, but a nicer facility, but somewhere for them to go. It's just amazing to hear how much the government is like involved in all of that, and hard to see like where it can be affected as well, but good to know that they're being taken care of. But yeah, so it's about $60 a month for those who have families they can attend, but the ones who don't have families to go home to, the government pays for them to go every day. So on the next slide, we got to hang out with them all morning. We painted rocks, and they just got a new cement bench that it was all gray when we got there, and we painted a few flowers and stuff in the time that we had there, just to make it look a little bit nicer. So that was a really cool day to get to meet with them and hear from them. It was hard because there's the language barrier and like the mental differences, so that was just a very interesting day of just getting to like get to know people on such a level. And then one of the last things we did was we got to go to an elementary school and give a lecture in each of 9 different classrooms in Spanish about personal hygiene, which for some people was very interesting because they had never heard Spanish before coming on this trip. But that was a fun time to get to like practice our Spanish, interact with the kids, teach them a little bit about hygiene, have them teach it back to us at the end, and then we got to play with them at recess. So we got to experience all different kinds of settings and everything. And then the last couple slides are just photos from the weekends that we went on. This is Irazu Volcan. This is the volcano we got to hike and go see. And the next slide has just a bunch of different wildlife photos. The monkeys were actually on a beach, so just ran them all around and snagged their food out of your hand. They're really fun. We got to see different sloths, but that was a place specifically that they took animals who had been captured and like kept as pets basically, and they take them and they put them in a place that's a lot more similar to the wildlife, and they care for them until either they can be put back in the wildlife or they just care for them for the rest of their lives. It was cool to see the difference between that and the zoo, how they get to like still interact like with humans but still be in the wild. So that was cool to see so many incredible animals. And then the beach was the last week. We got to go to a lot of beaches, go zip lining, all that fun stuff as well. So yeah, that's a summary of my trip. Thank you guys so much for listening and for supporting me and keeping me in your prayers while I was there.